Bam! Another year, another Eurovision, and somehow it feels like déjà vu. Again. The lights flash, the confetti rains, and a performer in sequins hits the same high note we heard 5 acts ago. Once a glorious celebration of musical chaos and cultural flair, the Eurovision Song Contest has become, let's be honest, a bit of a glittery mess. Remember when Eurovision was unpredictable? When you'd see a Finnish monster rock band,
the saints are crippled on the city's night,
a Ukrainian folk rave, and a barefoot violinist all in the same hour? Those days are fading, fast. Now, the contest feels like it's trapped in its own formula. Every other act sounds engineered for streaming charts. Staging? It's more about pyrotechnics than presence. And let's not even get started on the voting. It's like the same bloc alliances every year, no matter what's actually performed on stage. In 2025, that disillusionment peaked. There were protests, visible bias, and huge backlash online. Viewers complained. Even loyal fans said the magic was gone. So what happened? In this video, we're going deep into what's really going wrong with Eurovision. From cookie-cutter songs and
"Oh, let's get out the cookie cutters, what shall we make today?"
TikTok-driven sameness to political manipulation and falling viewership. And trust me, one of the reasons is so insane, you won't believe how they tried to cover it up. Let's tear back the glitter curtain and see what Eurovision has become, and why so many people are saying it kind of sucks now. Think back to the early 2000s or even earlier. Eurovision was full of surprises. You might get a traditional ballad from Croatia, followed by a punk band from Slovenia, then a bizarre but brilliant drag queen disco from Austria. That unpredictability was the magic. Fast forward to today, and it feels like someone's pressing copy-paste. The songwriting has become painfully predictable. You know the drill. A slow verse, a dramatic pre-chorus, then boom, a power pop drop with a key change. It's like every entry is trying to win by following a generic template rather than standing out. And guess what? Most of them sound like they're trying to be Dua Lipa or Ed Sheeran, just less catchy. Producers often follow trends instead of culture. That's why countries from entirely different parts of Europe suddenly submit songs that sound suspiciously similar. English lyrics dominate, even in places with rich local languages. Why? Because everyone's aiming for a pan-European Spotify-friendly sound. Now let's talk about the staging. Remember when Lordi won in 2006 with full monster costumes and heavy metal pyrotechnics?
my fangs are sharp and my eyes are red.
Or when Ukraine's Jamala stunned the world with her raw, minimalist staging in 2016. Today, the acts are overloaded with LED backgrounds, laser grids, floating platforms, and camera spins that could trigger vertigo. It's less about connecting with the song and more about who can out-tech who. Instead of enhancing the music, staging has become a distraction, a fireworks contest that rarely serves the actual performance. And too often, it feels hollow. What's worse? It's a strategy. Countries now spend millions hiring Eurovision consultants, yes, that's a real job, who design songs and performances that fit the mold of what scores high. So instead of artists expressing themselves, we get factory-made pop trying to game the system. Take a look at Eurovision 2024 and 2025. There were at least 5 entries with the same formula. A female soloist, slow dramatic start, then a dance break with strobes and no actual singing for the last 30 seconds. It's hard to remember who sang what because they all blurred together. This factory formula kills risk-taking. Where are the weird acts? The cultural outliers? The stuff that used to make us go, "How much time do we have left together? What the hell did I just watch? And why did I love it?" They're vanishing, squeezed out by commercial algorithms and marketing teams. And it's not just fans who notice. Eurovision blogs, forums, and even former contestants are speaking up. Belgian singer Blanche, who placed well in 2017, recently said that many acts today feel soulless and calculated. That's from someone who's been there. So what we're left with is this: a stage full of noise, flash, and gloss, but not a lot of soul. Eurovision used to be about raw, joyful chaos. Now it feels like a high-budget ad for streaming clicks. And that, my friends, is just the beginning. Because the next reason Eurovision sucks now is even worse. Social media is squeezing the life out of it. If there's one thing social media is great at, it's flattening everything into the same mold. And Eurovision has fallen right into that trap. These days, it's not enough for artists to win over a live audience in Europe. They need to go viral on TikTok before the show even airs. Choreography must be loopable. Choruses must be clipped down to 15 seconds of maximum impact. The visuals? They better work on a phone screen. This TikTokification of Eurovision is changing everything. Instead of celebrating cultural differences, songs are now built for shareability. Producers aim for that sweet spot where a snippet can become a trending dance or meme. And that's killing the quirky spirit of Eurovision. Just compare the past few years. In 2022, Norway's viral hit Give That Wolf a Banana worked because it was genuinely weird, yet somehow catchy.
Let's go to grandma's, she say grandma tastes the best.
But that success launched a wave of cheap copycats in 2023 and beyond, all trying to recreate the viral magic with gimmicky lyrics and artificial oddness. It's not authentic weirdness anymore, it's algorithm-approved weirdness. Even staging has adapted. Wide shots are out, tight camera angles are in, because they look better on vertical video. Costumes are less about national identity and more about what'll pop on an Instagram carousel. Substance? Who has time for that when you're trying to rack up likes? What's tragic is how this shift has even affected song selection processes. National contests, like Sweden's Melodifestivalen, or Italy's Sanremo, used to focus heavily on vocal performance and storytelling. But now, there's increasing pressure to pick acts that will trend online, rather than resonate live. Eurovision juries are even rumored to look at social media traction when scoring. And it doesn't stop at the entries. Fans, too, are playing the game. Fan bases now organize social media campaigns to boost their country's entries days or weeks before the live show. Hashtags, coordinated streaming, mass commenting. It's digital warfare, not music appreciation. We're losing the heart of the show, spontaneous connection. That feeling when someone belts out a ballad in their native language and gives you goosebumps, even if you don't understand a word? That's disappearing. Replaced by auto-tuned bops, designed to go viral and be forgotten just as fast. What once made Eurovision brilliant was its ability to surprise you, to expose you to something new, something you didn't expect to love. But now, the songs feel like they're written by committee, staged by marketing experts, and rolled out like influencer campaigns. And as everything becomes more polished, curated, and controlled, the soul gets sucked out. But wait, the real control doesn't stop there. Because when you think Eurovision's biggest problem is the music, just wait till you hear what's going on behind the scenes with the voting. It's political, it's shady, and it's been broken for years. Let's get into the messiest part of Eurovision, the voting. Because this is where the glitter fades and the politics take over. Eurovision was supposed to be about the music, right? But if you've watched the voting segments year after year, you've probably noticed the same thing everyone else has. Countries voting for their neighbors, their political allies, or just the same countries over and over again, no matter what was performed on that stage. This isn't just fan suspicion either. Studies have actually been done, serious academic studies, confirming patterns of bloc voting and political bias. The Nordic bloc, the Balkan bloc, and the infamous Eastern bloc are real voting clusters that consistently boost each other's scores. Meanwhile, countries like the UK, Ireland, and even Germany have often been shut out, sometimes harshly, no matter how decent their entries are. Nowhere was this clearer than in Eurovision 2025. Israel's participation was already controversial that year due to ongoing protests and political tension. But what shocked everyone was the public vote. Despite loud booing in the arena and critical headlines across Europe, Israel surged in the televote, suspiciously fast and strong, landing them in the top 3. Social media exploded. Fans accused organizers of vote manipulation. Some broadcasters even threatened to withdraw from future contests unless the EBU, European Broadcasting Union, improved transparency. And here's the kicker. 6 different jury votes were flagged for irregular patterns. Again. This same thing happened in 2022, and rather than fixing the system, the EBU quietly brushed it under the rug. Again. It's not just about who wins. The voting drama changes how countries select their acts. Nations now play it safe, choosing songs that can rack up points from certain friendly regions. Diversity and risk-taking fall by the wayside, and who suffers? The viewers, the music, the show. Let's talk about the juries. In theory, they're supposed to balance out public bias. But in reality, juries are often made up of insiders, industry figures who know each other or even have connections to the performers. In some countries, jury members have been caught leaking scores early or manipulating rankings based on politics or personal agendas. Take 2024. One juror from Eastern Europe gave their top points to a country their label was affiliated with. And no, nothing happened. No disqualification, no penalty. It just quietly disappeared from the headlines. And what's even more frustrating is how transparent all of this has become to the fans. People now predict the results not based on the performances, but based on political maps. That's not a song contest. That's a popularity contest in disguise. In fact, it's gotten so bad that Eurovision memes about voting bias are now more popular than clips of the actual performances. When your credibility becomes a punchline, it's a problem. If Eurovision wants to survive, it has to fix the vote, transparent scoring, independent juries, real consequences for manipulation, because right now, the system is broken. But believe it or not, we're still not at the worst part. Because while shady voting is bad, the way Eurovision is trying to control the narrative by silencing protests and censoring audiences is next-level disturbing. Let's talk about something that goes beyond music, beyond voting. It's about what you're not allowed to see or hear at Eurovision anymore. Eurovision has always said it's apolitical. But that's a lie. The contest is more political than ever. It's just that now they're trying to hide it. In 2025, things reached a boiling point. Protests erupted across Sweden, the host country, against Israel's participation. Thousands of demonstrators gathered outside the venue. Inside, some audience members booed loudly when Israel took the stage. It was raw, it was real, and it was never shown on TV. Why? Because the European Broadcasting Union, EBU, had already made moves to mute the arena mics during sensitive moments. Live booing was replaced with crowd cheers recorded earlier. The EBU edited out protest banners, switched camera angles, and even cropped out flags from the audience that weren't officially approved. That's right, flag bans are a thing now. You can't wave a Palestinian flag. You can't bring in a Catalan flag. Even rainbow flags have reportedly been discouraged, depending on the year. The message is clear. Only the flags we approve, only the narrative we control. What happened to free expression? In past decades, Eurovision was a place where people could make bold, meaningful statements. In 2016, Ukraine's winning song 1944 openly addressed Stalin-era deportations. In 2014, Conchita Wurst became an icon for LGBTQ+ visibility. These weren't accidents, they were statements. But now, the EBU is cracking down on anything that might politicize the show. Except here's the irony. Ignoring politics is a political move too. And the manipulation doesn't stop with the audience. Some broadcasters have been accused of editing their own feeds to avoid showing controversial acts or symbols. Countries with strict media laws, including some Eurovision participants, have reportedly censored LGBTQ+ performers or replaced inappropriate segments. Yet they remain in the competition, untouched by sanctions. Meanwhile, the hosts are walking on eggshells.
two words, but I feel this all the time: existential doubt.
Presenters are told to avoid certain words. Scripts are vetted to prevent anything sensitive. Even green room interviews now feel like bland PR fluff instead of spontaneous reactions. And don't even think about artists making a statement. In 2025, one performer reportedly wanted to wear a badge supporting a ceasefire. The EBU blocked it. Another act hinted at a pro-democracy message on stage and was warned behind the scenes. The contest is turning into a tightly controlled media product, sanitized, edited, and drained of authenticity. The result? Eurovision no longer feels like a platform for freedom or connection. It feels like a giant PR event, where everyone's walking a tightrope, terrified of saying the wrong thing. And the fans notice. Forums lit up in 2025 with complaints about censorship. Former winners spoke out. Even commentators like the UK's Graham Norton subtly called out the carefully managed nature of the broadcast. What used to be one of the most chaotic, weird, wonderful nights on global TV is now starting to look corporate. And in trying to silence the controversy, the EBU is killing the very soul of the show. And that brings us to the final nail in the coffin. People are tuning out. Ratings are dropping, and fans are leaving. You can dress up the stage with 3D graphics, bring in drone cameras, and roll out 4K pyrotechnics. But here's the cold reality: people are tuning out. Once upon a time, Eurovision was a can't-miss event. It was circled on calendars across Europe. Families gathered, parties were thrown. Even in the US, curiosity was growing year by year. But over the past few contests, the numbers are telling a different story, and it's not pretty. In Ireland, one of Eurovision's oldest and most successful nations, viewership in 2024 dropped by more than 30% compared to the year before. In Germany, ratings have been slipping steadily. Even Scandinavian countries known for their Eurovision devotion are showing signs of fatigue. Why? Because people are bored. Fans complain that the show drags on too long. With 26 performances and nearly 2 hours of voting and filler content, the finale often runs past midnight in many countries. The excitement fades. The pacing kills momentum. And let's not forget how repetitive it's all become.
And that we now have a final valid result.
We already talked about the formulaic songs and flashy but hollow staging. But when those same problems repeat year after year, you start to lose even your most loyal fans. Just check social media during the live show. There are more memes about how long it takes than reactions to the songs themselves. It's not just the broadcast, it's the brand. Eurovision used to feel like a celebration of cultural diversity. Now, it feels like a PR package wrapped in a Spotify playlist. People are noticing the lack of sincerity. And the die-hard fans? They're getting burned out. Many of them now say the national finals, like Sweden's Melodifestivalen or Italy's San Remo, are more exciting than the actual Eurovision finale. Why? Because they feel more real, less political, more about music. The contest's own attempts to modernize haven't helped either. Adding more semi-finals, extending the show, trying to go viral with TikTok stunts, all of it feels like noise, not substance. And then there's the younger audience, the ones Eurovision desperately needs. Gen Z isn't buying it. They can spot inauthenticity from a mile away. Flashy doesn't impress them, real does. And Eurovision, for all its spectacle, isn't feeling very real anymore. It's death by overproduction. In trying to please everyone, marketers, sponsors, broadcasters, the show is losing the very people it was meant to unite. But there's still hope. Because when Eurovision leans into sincerity, originality, and culture, it wins. That's what made the good years great. That's what made the contest legendary. So now, the big question is, can Eurovision fix itself? Let's bring it all home in the conclusion. So here we are. After all the glitter, drama, and power ballads, what's left? Eurovision, once the most unpredictable, joyous, weirdly wonderful music show on Earth, is starting to collapse under its own glittery weight. Not because it lost relevance, but because it lost soul. Let's break it down. The music? It's formulaic. acts are afraid to take risks. Songs feel engineered for charts, not for moments. The visuals? They're bigger than ever, but they mean less than ever. Flash over feeling. The influence of social media? It's choking out creativity. Everyone's chasing trends instead of starting them. The voting? A politically charged guessing game where the best performance doesn't always win. The politics? Being silenced rather than acknowledged, creating a fake neutrality that just makes it worse. The audience? Losing patience, tuning out, missing the magic. And maybe that's the saddest part, because when Eurovision gets it right, it still has the power to bring people together like nothing else. Think of Salvador Sobral's Minimalist, emotional win for Portugal in 2017. Think of Måneskin's raw rock charisma in 2021. Think of any act that made you feel something unexpected. Those are the moments that made Eurovision special. But if the contest keeps heading in this direction, it's not just the weird acts or the indie ballads that will lose. It's the fans, the heart, the reason it ever mattered in the first place. Eurovision doesn't suck because it's old. It sucks because it stopped evolving authentically. And if it wants to survive another 50 years, it doesn't need more lights or longer voting segments. It needs to rediscover its roots, authenticity, diversity, and bold, beautiful chaos. That's how Eurovision becomes magic again. Drop a comment below with your biggest Eurovision disappointment in the last 5 years. Like this video, if you've ever screamed, "Why is that getting 12 points?" And don't forget to subscribe. We've got even more deep dives into the best and worst of global TV culture coming your way. See you next time, and may your key change actually mean something.